Peace and Islam. Welcome unto the Amexem-Moor-Empire, Moore's Internet Televideo-Network, or M.I.T.N for short. It is a part of the Imperial Broadcasting Agency. For the record, today's date on the Amexem-Moor calendar is Peace Day, the 12th of Gu, the year 301-630. I am the Honorable Noble Tina Wadil, and I serve as the lead video broadcasting agent, and I shall be a hostess for this broadcasting segment. This segment is segment 32 of the Amexem-Moor-Empire perspective, entitled Amendment to the Amexem-Moor-Empire Constitution. So it is my honor and my privilege to welcome back to the segment His Imperial Majesty and Aninu El Bey. Peace and Islam, His Imperial Majesty.
Peace, and light, Islam. Good to see you. How you faring this evening?
All is truly well, and gratitude for asking. I am trusting all is well with you likewise. Islam.
I give thanks, Islam. Yes.
Islam. So welcome to the segment. We are continuing from segment 30 and 31 regarding the official medium of exchange that was previously discussed, and how that affected our Constitution, where it needing amendment at this particular time, and if there are such changes. So we're looking at your perspective with regarding to that, and if there are any updates to add.
Islam. All right. Yes. Under Article 6, Section 2, Clause 1 of the Amexem-Moor-Empire Constitution, I have the duty, obligation, and responsibility to present before the Imperial Council, as a constitutional monarch, a fiscal budget proposal. Under that same article, section, and clause, the Imperial Council has the duty, obligation, and responsibility to decide by their vote what shall be the fiscal budget law, because we had diffused power within the Amexem-Moor-Empire jurisdiction and venue. I am not a monarch. I'm a constitutional monarch. I do not have absolute power. To that end, it's pretty routine how we proceed on an annual basis. I do prepare and present the fiscal budget proposal before the Imperial Council. We go through deliberations, we go through negotiations, we get to a vote. We get you fiscal responsibility in the form of a fiscal budget law. That's how it generally goes, until recently. Because of the intentional suppression of the quote-unquote silver price on the one side of it, fractional reserve banking is also joined by what's referred to as fractional reserve on metal. They basically run the same game on gold and silver and other commodities, if you would. Turns out you have a lot of folks that have claim checks for silver that actually doesn't exist. And as long as folks were rolling over contracts and other things and being quote unquote paid out in cash, it didn't bother their organized gambling pit when it came to silver. Well, it turns out because silver is a consumable and is not heavily recycled like gold is, silver ends up, again, as I explained previously, in semiconductors, EV batteries, is used in silverware, it's used in solar panels, it's used in all manner of electronics. So demand is exceedingly high, getting higher and higher and higher, and supply is not. So parties who were usually just quote unquote cashing out started demanding the physical silver. And when you got far more claim checks, ETFs, or exchange traded funds, or certificates and things of nature for silver, than you actually have physical silver, a whole lot of claim checks and not a lot of silver, it's going to cause folks to panic. And you're talking about in an era where demand for silver is sky high because of solar panels and EV batteries and land vessels overall, because they got so many computers in them now. So not enough supply to meet demand causes silver to go up. When you look on the bottom of the fiscal budget law, even on the bottom of the fiscal budget proposal, you're going to see what says key. Two numbers there. One of them is the value of the fiscal budget law in terms of the gold price and of the silver price that we determine it will be for, or in that range, for the duration of a particular fiscal budget law. Well, that's how we gauge what inflation or deflation is going to look like for the lifespan of a particular fiscal budget law. Watching the silver price more than double in short order has caused gray hair and sleepless nights, because the Imperial Council and I have a duty, obligation, responsibility in your service to improvise, adapt, overcome, and figure out what to do about inflation or deflation and whatever is being asked for in the fiscal budget proposal. Looking at the departmental block monies is one thing, looking at the line items is one thing. However, how do they measure up in terms of what inflation or deflation is going to look like? So if we set the fiscal budget law at a particular rate, and there's diminishment of the value of silver or gold during the duration of that particular fiscal budget beyond what is the parameters set by the key on the budget law at the bottom of it, that could cause us to have fiscal irresponsibility. That can cause shortfalls, and we cannot have that in your service. So we have to be exceedingly accurate in what we do. It's been virtually impossible to figure out what inflation and deflation is going to look like for the duration of the next fiscal budget, potentially next fiscal budget law, primarily because silver price is out of control, and it's not going to be slowing down no time soon. The thing is, when I wrote what became our Constitution, which was ratified 27 Earth years in 3 months ago, 2 months ago, working on 3. I knew then that these days were coming. When I engaged with Amexem-Moor-Empire nationals, or those who are these candidates considered amalgamating, you will hear me say at least once, when we start talking about our commerce and trade and our medium of exchange, you will hear me say the day will come when quote unquote silver price is going to be 5,000 an ounce, and quote unquote gold price is going to be 50,000 an ounce. This is anything that we didn't know. I've known this for 30 Earth years, a little more by now, and so I planned for that. When you look in our current, well, when you look in the fiscal, in our Constitution, it speaks to the issue of in Article 6, Section 1, Clause 1, platinum, gold, and silver are the only lawful medium of exchange within the Amexem-Moor-Empire jurisdiction and venue. So within the domains of the realm of the Amexem-Moor-Empire constitutional monarchy, Greater Amexem, the Al-Qimlan and the Abzu, Kush, Harappa, and Greater Asia, with the including of Cebu Cavite District, the island chain, well, this is our medium of exchange, platinum, gold, and silver. It speaks to the issue of silver being 99.99%, not 999. I did that on purpose because I knew that over time, silver was going to degrade. So it'd be harder to find or to be able to acquire the 99.999%. 99.99% is very, very strong as well. So knowing that the silver is going to be deeper, that's going to be acquired for retail and for industrial use, knowing it's going to cost more funds to pull more rock out to get to less and less silver, the value is going to degrade. I knew that. Well, the purity is going to degrade over time. I knew that. Well, another factor I looked at back then was when factors start to pile up that's going to force silver to be so-called 5,000 an ounce and gold to be 50,000 an ounce of worth a piece of paper, we're going to have to introduce an additional metal that we will use as a medium of exchange, and that was going to be copper. I knew eventually these days were going to come, and that day has come. So I did go before the Imperial Council in your service, and I made it known to my intention to come before them to consider a amendment unto Article 6, Section 1, Clause 1 of our Constitution, to take into account that we're going to add copper as a medium of exchange. Why? Because copper is going to replace silver in terms of easy accessibility. So we will still maintain platinum, gold, and silver as our primary means of exchange. We're just adding copper. And I'm saying we're adding because I did go before the Imperial Council under Article 2, Section 1, Clauses 1, 2, and 3 of our Constitution. And we went through the rigorous discussion, rigorous debate on the topic. And when we got to a particular point, I did poll the Imperial Council with the consent of the supervisor, deputy supervisor, to see what we were prepared to go for a vote, and there was. So under Article 2, Section 1, Clauses 1, 2, and 3, I did call for the vote in your service. The vote did take a place in your service by the pursuit of the Amexem-Moor-Empire Constitution, Article 2, Section 1, Clause 4, where the Imperial Council did duty, and they did in fact vote. And they did vote in the affirmative. So it did pass. It was laid on the table, and now we officially have the language has to be put together now, and we're going to present publicly the amended Article 6, Section 1, Clause 1 of our Constitution, which will reflect that platinum, gold, silver, and copper are the only lawful means of exchange within the Amexem-Moor-Empire jurisdiction and venue. Now, to that end, there'll be some additions that have to take place now for the Department for the Treasury and Budget. The Master for the Mint is not going to take into account particular things. Now, to make this easy, you're not going to see it reflected in the current fiscal budget proposal before the Imperial Council. What has to be done will be paid out of the block monies from Treasury and Budget, whatever gets approved by the Imperial Council by way of council vote for the next fiscal budget law. So that means the fiscal budget proposal 301632, I got to start putting things into the fiscal budget proposal towards copper being minted into whatever denominations we're going to have it minted into, whether it be bars or coins or both. So it's a multiple step process, as you can see. So in a nutshell, that is what has occurred. That's where we are. Our Constitution has in fact been amended. As soon as the language has been completed, it shall be provided. Meaning we will have a copy of the newly amended Constitution provided unto every Amexem-Moor-Empire national in due course. And that's the short version. I'll leave it there. If you happen to have any questions, I'm happy to answer questions one by one. I'm Noble Tina. Islam.
I don't have any further questions. This was just an update regarding what was discussed in the previous two segments. So thank you once again for coming on to the segment. If any last closing remarks you have, you're free to share those before we close. Islam.
Yeah, actually, the process wasn't exactly what I expected. I don't know why I ever think it's ever going to be, but anyway. Technically speaking, the Imperial Council member, or should I say the department that is most affected, you would think would be Treasury and Budget. On the form, yes. On the substance, actually, it's Department for the Customs. We don't have price controls within the Amexem-Moor-Empire jurisdiction and venue. If we did, they would be set by Department for the Customs. Customs does regulate the commerce of every business out of the Amexem-Moor-Empire jurisdiction and venue. And it says every business has to set their pricing for things internationally, previously by platinum, gold, and silver standards. Now it's platinum, gold, silver, or copper standards. So when it comes to putting together trade packages and things of this nature, the Department for the Customs has to adjust how they do things now to inculcate into their process pricing weighted in copper. So during the opening discussion, deliberations, and debate, I expected that we would have more verbiage from Treasury and Budget, maybe Interior, definitely Customs. Not exactly how it played out. A little more from Imperial Affairs. That was comprehensible. However, health and phytotherapy had many points brought out. All great, valid points. No argument there. This is why you have to have a council. Everyone bringing forward their expertise, their ideas, their thoughts, their contemplations, their discernments, so we can figure out what makes sense and why it makes sense, and make it work for all of you. That's the job. That's our duty, obligation, and responsibility, to provide you with practical and sensible organic diplomacy and governance. And that's how you get it. Bringing those minds together, bringing those ideas together, and see how things meld together, how we make things work, and transmogrify things from one point to another, from one condition to another, in a way that saves lives and improves the quality of lives. And yeah, during that particular discussion and debate and deliberation, whatever you want to put, in whatever order you want to put it in, I was like, wait a minute. All right. I'm not saying it was complicated. I'm just going to say it was a little more involved than I actually thought it would be. And actually, I give thanks that it went the way it did. The Minister for the Customs, His Excellency Grand Noble Gamal Zubiri El, he did have a couple of points to present, which, again, I figured he would have a fair amount of things to say. Anyway, I give thanks for the whole process being done and behind us now. Islam.
His Imperial Majesty, on behalf of the Morse Internet Televideo Network, our audience, and myself, thank you for all of your answers and to all of my questions. And we thank you for your service. Islam.
Islam.
Islam. And to our wonderful audience, more information about the Amexem-Moor-Empire constitutional, Amexem-Moor-Empire Imperial Government operations. Contact is available through the website modernmoormonarchy.squarespace.com. That website again, modernmoormonarchy.squarespace.com. Do show us some love and leave a positive comment. I would appreciate it. We all would. And we say thank you. You're also encouraged to share a link for this video segment to all who you associate with. And until next time, on behalf of His Imperial Majesty, all of my fellow Amexem-Moor-Empire nationals all across the planet, peace, great health, and prosperity upon all of you and upon all of us. Islam.